Finance initiatives were once hailed as a kind of financial alchemist's stone, a way of creating public goods like hospitals and schools without spending huge sums of public money. Their critics say they should be more appropriately compared to financial time bombs with a long-term legacy of huge taxpayer liabilities. And now some of the institutions that were built under the system are trying to escape from it. In a few days' time, one PFI hospital will be back in public ownership 19 years early. From Northumberland, John Minnell reports.
If you've ever come here to Hexham, with its cobbled streets and picturesque stone architecture, you almost certainly will have noticed this building. This is the huge Hexham Abbey. It's believed much of the money used to build it over the centuries came from various bequests and gifts. Unfortunately, such no-strings-attached generosity wasn't forthcoming when it came to the funding of another rather important building in this market town.
As we walk through, just walking into the main doors now, stairs to the ward in the centre of the atrium.
Hexham General Hospital, which opened in 2003, cost £51 million to build, but was funded through a private finance initiative contract. Jim Mackey is the chief executive of the NHS Trust, which runs it.
Effectively, we have a company that's raised money to build the building and then maintain it over the length of the contract. It was really the only way you could actually build a hospital at the time.
By 2033, the repayments on the agreement were scheduled to have totalled more than £254 million. But Jim Mackey has found a way out. The Trust has managed to end its PFI contract early by borrowing the money from the local council.
We will have repaid the debt of the original PFI and taken out a new loan, but as of the 1st of October, the hospital will be owned by the Trust again rather than the PFI company. And then we have security with the council in return for the borrowing. We'll save about £3 million per annum, which is quite a significant saving.
£3 million per year over 19 years, is it?
Yes, that's right.
Give me some idea of what you could spend that money on that you haven't been able to do.
To save that equivalent money in service terms would require us to close just over a ward, slightly more than a ward, which would be very difficult to do. So it's allowed us to save money in a way that's allowed us to protect the service at the front line, which is what this is all about.
Northumberland County Council has lent the hospital around £115 million, which it in turn borrowed at a low rate available for local authorities from the Public Works Loan Board. The council's lead executive director is Stephen Mason.
In effect, we're using our borrowing powers to borrow money and then advance it to the Trust. And because the Trust is paying that money back, it doesn't impact directly on any of the plans that the council has for the delivery of its own services.
While Hexham General is the biggest hospital to buy out its PFI contract, it's not the first. I'm on my way to another NHS Trust here in the northeast, which did something similar on a smaller scale almost 4 years ago. Hi, Colin.
Hi, John. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Welcome to West Park Hospital. It's a mental health hospital just outside Darlington.
And you are Colin Martin.
I'm Colin Martin, Director of Finance for Tees Eskin Weir Valleys Foundation Trust.
And this echoey entrance hall with looking up the large window on the ceiling, another one just above the door, this was the PFI hospital.
That's correct, John, yeah.
But not anymore.
Not anymore, since we terminated the agreement and bought the hospital in 2010. Just going to go upstairs, is that okay?
Explain what your situation was here and what you did.
We looked at all the elements and felt that the best option we could pursue was to voluntarily terminate the agreement, buy it out. It cost us £18.6 million.
Saving you how much?
We're estimating a saving of £14 million.
How did you raise that money? £18 million.
At that point in time, we had that money in our cash balance, and the opportunity to save that sum of money on an annual basis was basically too good to miss.
What West Park did would probably be impossible for a bigger, more expensive hospital. But you would have thought NHS Trust would be queuing up to at least try to replicate what Hexham General has done. But it isn't necessarily that easy.
This was completed and we moved into this around about 2001. It was exciting and daunting at the same time.
When this section of the University Hospital of North Durham opened, Sue Jakes was head of finance. She's now the chief executive of County Durham and Darlington NHS Foundation Trust. Why don't you do what Hexham and West Park have done?
Unfortunately, our contract doesn't provide for us to do what I understand their contracts do. It was one of the very first schemes to be agreed in the country, and we don't have the right to, for example, buy back our hospital.
Can't you negotiate with the PFI provider?
Absolutely, and that's enabled us to change some of the services that we provide from this site, to put some new facilities in. It's just our contract per se isn't as advantageous as some of the contracts that came later.
Back here at Hexham General, the final repayment under its PFI contract will be made at the end of this month. Other NHS trusts are looking on with interest, but even if their contracts allow them to do the same, following suit won't be easy. This hospital had a council willing and able to lend it the money, yet it has still taken 4 years to complete the deal.
John Mannell. It is, of course, decision